April 8, 1943. 5 miles above northern France, the air is thin, cold, and unforgiving. Inside the cockpit of his Focke-Wulf 190, Oberleutnant Ralph Hermaken, a 26-year-old ace, tightens his oxygen mask. He peers down at the struggling silhouettes of American fighters climbing laboriously through the sky. Below him, 16 P-47C Thunderbolts of the 4th Fighter Group are straining to gain altitude, their massive engines roaring against the 7-ton weight of their airframes. Hermaken can't help but smirk as he radios his wingman. The Americans have sent us flying milk bottles. To these Luftwaffe veterans, accustomed to nimble Spitfires and Messerschmitts, the P-47s looked almost comical. They were barrel-shaped with greenhouse canopies and wings that seemed too small for their bodies. They looked absurd, completely incapable of serious combat. What the Germans didn't know, what Hermaken couldn't possibly imagine, was that they were witnessing the arrival of a weapon that would systematically destroy the Luftwaffe S-fighter arm. Within 18 months, these flying milk bottles would transform from objects of ridicule into instruments of terror. Their 8 50-caliber Browning machine guns, firing 6,000 rounds per minute, could rip an enemy aircraft apart in seconds. This is the story of how the German laughter turned to fear. The story of the Republic P-47 Thunderbolt began in a panic. In June 1940, as German fighters swept across France, the U.S. Army Air Forces sent an urgent request to Alexander Kartveli, Republic Aviation's chief designer. They needed a high-altitude interceptor that could match the Luftwaffe's best. But Kartveli designed something else entirely. He created a monster that redefined what was possible. "It will be a dinosaur," he admitted to his team, "but it will be a dinosaur with good proportions." The prototype first flew on May 6, 1941, and it shocked everyone. Weighing almost 10,000 pounds empty, it was 65% heavier than its predecessor. Test pilots approaching it for the first time would all ask the same question. This thing actually flies. And fly it did. Not only did it fly, but it performed better than anything else at high altitude. Its massive turbo-supercharger system allowed the engine to maintain full power at 27,000 feet, where German fighters struggled for air. It delivered sea-level performance in the stratosphere, but mastering this beast was another story. Major Hubert "Hub" Zemke, commanding the 56th Fighter Group, initially despised it. Between September 1942 and January 1943, his unit lost 18 pilots and 41 aircraft in training accidents. The P-47 killed more Americans in training than the Germans would in its first months of combat. Yet those who mastered it discovered extraordinary potential. Lieutenant Robert S. Johnson, an Oklahoma farm boy who would become one of America's top aces, described his first flight. It was like strapping yourself to a locomotive. The power was unbelievable. You didn't fly it, you aimed it. The first combat encounters in April and May of 1943 seemed to confirm the German prejudice. The P-47s couldn't turn with Focke-Wulfs or climb with Messerschmitts. Luftwaffe pilots developed tactics to exploit these weaknesses, attacking from below and forcing the Thunderbolts into turning fights they were sure to lose. Joseph Pips Priller, a famous German ace, reported after his first encounter, "The new American fighter is meat for the slaughter. It flies like a truck, turns like a freight train, and climbs like a pregnant cow." Early statistics backed this up. In the first month, the Americans lost 14 Thunderbolts for only 3 confirmed German kills. But something extraordinary was happening that German intelligence failed to notice. The P-47s that were shot down had absorbed an incredible amount of punishment before falling. One aircraft returned from a mission with 21 cannon holes and over 100 machine gun strikes, damage that would have vaporized a Spitfire. The radial engine, without a vulnerable liquid cooling system, could shrug off hits that would have been fatal to other fighters. And when a P-47 finally got its guns on a target, the results were catastrophic. Unlike German fighters with limited cannon ammunition, The Thunderbolt could maintain a sustained stream of fire for over 30 seconds, an eternity in air combat. The turning point came on June 26, 1943. Second Lieutenant Robert S. Johnson was flying at the back of a formation returning from escort duty when they were ambushed by 16 FW-190s. The Germans executed a perfect dive out of the sun. Johnson's Thunderbolt was caught in a crossfire, and the damage was catastrophic. 20mm cannon shells exploded across his fuselage, the canopy shattered, hydraulic fluid sprayed into the cockpit, and a fire erupted behind the instrument panel. Wounded and trapped at 27,000 feet, Johnson somehow managed to level the aircraft and point it back towards England. A lone FW-190 found the crippled Thunderbolt and emptied its remaining ammunition into it. But the plane just kept flying. Johnson landed back at base with over 200 bullet holes in his aircraft. The engine had taken direct hits, the controls were partially severed, and yet the P-47 had survived. The pilots quickly learned the P-47's secret. Its effectiveness came from mass, speed, and concentrated firepower, not agility. Major Donald Blakesley, a squadron commander, told his men to abandon traditional dogfighting. "Use your energy, your altitude, and your guns," he instructed. "Don't try to dance, hit them hard, and stay alive." Over the next 18 months, the Thunderbolt became the most feared American fighter in Europe. Industrial logic, combining durability, firepower, and mass production, systematically overwhelmed the Luftwaffe's tactical brilliance. The American pilots were initially novices, but the P-47 gave them the confidence to engage the enemy, knowing their plane could take a beating and bring them home. The story of the P-47 Thunderbolt isn't just about a machine. It's about how innovation, industrial might, and human courage can change the course of a war. It shows how a well-designed weapon in the hands of well-trained crews can completely redefine the rules of engagement. The aircraft that German aces once mocked had become a terror in the skies, a symbol of American engineering and determination. It was a flying tank, a locomotive in the sky, and for the men who flew it, it was their ticket to survival and, ultimately, victory. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this look into aviation history, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this one. We'll see you in the next video.